All right, I think we'll get started for the last session of day one, Ready 25. Thank you all for being here and spending part of your summer with us. I hope the content this year is relevant and exciting and helpful for your InterSystems product journeys. So I think if we're ready, we'll start the timer. I wanted to start this session. I hope you all know why you're here. We're going to talk about data quality and implementing it in your interoperability data pipelines. I just wanted a quick poll of the audience. How do you currently feel about your data quality practices today? So if you scan the QR code, you will be given a star rating. 1 is you don't implement any validation in your data pipelines. You don't implement any type of transformation. You're not really interested in seeing what the data that's coming through. You just kind of offer a pass-through service. And the 5-star rating is you have a very robust validation protocol. So I'll give it a few more minutes. Let me see if... when I show the result, do you guys still see the option to rate the question? Yes or no? Because you add your response. You can still add your response? Okay, great. So here's kind of where we stand today. Looks like most of you rate yourself a 3. Okay. Is that because you would like to implement more practices, or you're kind of happy where you are right now? No. Okay. I don't know. Well, that's why you're here today, and I hope that some of the existing technologies that I will talk about can start to implement if you didn't already know about them, and you can help kind of guide us where you want to be so we can offer you a better product experience for data quality. So if you are used to coming to Global Summit in previous years, you might be used to coming to sessions that are talking about a specific product or a specific functionality. This session is a little different. We're going to talk about strategy and specifically how to improve data quality in your pipelines. I don't think it's relevant for this audience to talk about specifically why it's important to implement data quality, but I'm sure you guys are aware of all the countless hours it takes to create and test interfaces and the data flowing through them. So to the unknown, data quality can be seen as just data validation, but that's not true. We're talking about data loss, data duplication, fragmented data, unstructured data, all these errors that can contribute to manual data entry, additional custom programming that may be needed in your interface, delays in data access, and subsequently delays in care that are all around costly. So in the interoperable layer of Health Connect and Iris for Health and Iris, we provide you tools for data conformance, like protocols such as HL7, X12, and CDA. The semantic data validation is made possible with configurable flags and rules. And the aspect of data quality that I think is often forgotten is the data trust and consistency. So that often requires transformations or DTLs to be meaningfully for data to be meaningfully consumed, and they must be validated in that transform when undergoing system changes, hence the need for something like the production validator, which I'll briefly mention. So that's why we have the content today, to kind of review the existing data quality protocols that you should or can be leveraging with X12, HL7, and productions generally. And I'm also going to introduce a new and upcoming tool to validate your CDA documents. And then I'll also spend time talking through more longer-term initiatives on the roadmap, specifically our data quality toolings. So first up is EDI X12. We offer 2 types of validation for your X12 documents during the integration process. Configurable validation is provided to you in your router component or host. You can select either a flag-style validation or the SNP-level standard validation to conform directly to industry standards for validation. We also provide the option to configure your own validation rules via the validation flags, so that's the list that you see. These options are documented, and you can enable them by writing in your preferred validation rules from within that router, so within that specific interface. Some of these options, just at a quick glance, can include erroring on missing required fields, cardinality violations, over maximum character lengths, and many others. So this kind of serves a reminder to be practicing data quality from within your integration itself. Something new that we released back in 2023.3 are X12 validation APIs that allow you to invoke validation from business rules and business processes, allowing an X12 document to be split based on past or failed validation rules that can be figured directly within the rule itself. I do have a quick demo that I won't be able to show you right now because of time, but if you go to your app, you can download the PowerPoint and it has the video embedded itself. I think later we'll also have this in our learning services catalog, so you can go ahead and review that after this.
Thank you.
So now we'll talk about how you can validate HL7 messages to ensure data quality. So there are a few activities that you want to be aware of that also leverage the same workflows as the X12 demo. You can enable a bad message handler to take all incoming HL7 messages that fail your configured validation to be later reviewed and reprocessed. You can add an alert messaging mechanism as well to surface those errors more quicker and to the right users. This setting is found on any service or inbound host and router. And you can, of course, configure validation rules, like those validation flags, on the router itself, just like you can do for the X12 validation flags. And so here is, again, a list of options that you can enable when you create and use, list of options through your interface. And then you can also enable a create and custom HL7 schema doc type, and you can validate any messages that are coming through your interface against that custom schema. And you can do that with a tool called the Message Analyzer. And this tool was introduced in our productivity toolkit many years ago, back in 2019. Currently, it is CLI-based, so you can take in an incoming custom message and create a custom schema based off of any sample HL7 message. That custom schema can also be compared to any existing standard schema as a comparison, or a standard schema can be used as the base for a custom schema that you're going to create with this tool. You are then able to validate your custom schema against any additional sample messages that you pass through this tool and review any list of errors, such as this one, which is describing a missing required field in a particular segment. And so this is coming up because it is erring on a standard cardinality rule. And so this is surfacing the option within your custom schema to make that field optional, because that sample message you fed it was missing some required standard segment. And so if you don't want to make it required in your custom schema, you are prompted to make that change. So this is a really incredible tool to kind of quickly create and customize your messages and adjust for any downstream data targets for quicker, meaningful data consumption and avoid any missing data that you're interested in and ensuring data quality with that. And of course, we can't talk about HL7 without talking about FHIR. Beginning in 23.3, we offered FHIR profile validation. It is introduced with the $validate method to invoke validation queries within these modes, such as when creating, updating, deleting, and assigning a profile source. So validation use cases can be anything from validating the JSON structure in general, validating data types like arrays and specific dates, elements in that structure that are expected in that schema. You can validate whether they exist. So here's just a quick example of a status code post validation query when you're sending a postman request in this test, so which had resulted in an error showing that the birth sex value did not match the coded value set, so clearly marking that as a data quality issue during a data exchange. So if you have any questions on any of these validation tools, you can ask me or any of the FHIR experts that are presenting in many of the FHIR sessions throughout this conference. We have a ton of those. I think more than half of our interoperability sessions are on FHIR. So if that's of interest to you, please come talk to us. So next is the production validator, which was initially released in 24.1 and is continually being enhanced to meet various needs of your interface design. This tool is really used as a best practice during any migrations, such as Health Connect to Iris for health, to validate your interface behavior as your product changes when you're migrating, as well as whenever you're undergoing a product upgrade to later versions to validate your interface behavior stays intact across those changes that are being introduced in these new versions. So the production validator will surface data integration differences between how your original system and upgraded system are handling your data feeds and transformations in routing logic. So this is just a quick screenshot of what you can expect as the tooling is showing you differences between your initial system or your target or upgraded system. So easier access to your visual trace when looking at those differences are directly found within this tool. So you can identify the error that's found when it's surfacing these differences for you. For example, like which DTLs are actually being used and the specific error handling message to help you better understand how to resolve the differences. And then you can open a visual trace on the same session with your original system to help you perform a compare. So this, the production validator can take quite some time and a learning curve. Oh, we have a question.
We have this actually for all versions of Iris.
For all versions of Iris? Yes, so it goes back until Ensemble 2016. If you need any assistance, please request support via the WRC. They are well equipped to kind of walk you through the steps. The steps leading up to the differences that you just saw are CLI based and can be a bit confusing. That's something we are addressing today. But I was actually getting to my point here. So as we try to enhance this product, later versions that we're coming out with today include some of these enhancements. So you should always check the WRC distribution site, which looks like this, to make sure you're loading in the most up-to-date package that we're offering with all the enhancements. So you're going to need to load this in both your upgraded system and the existing system that you have for compatibility. And so some of the other things that we have included in the latest package that's available today on the website are check version parameters, so you can actually determine which one you're using or which one has already been loaded into your Iris instance. And so that'll help you kind of determine if you need to load a newer version. We've also enhanced the workflow to reduce the command steps in the CLI, so there are less commands that you need to run for a better user experience. And we've also added more comparison skip options that you can use to skip specific HL7 segments and service operation pairs, so you can really focus on the list of differences that you need to address, because you can have a large list of differences that really only are on one specific service operation pair. So once you've addressed those, you can move on from that set of problems. So lastly, we also want to improve the tooling in more ways than one. So an upcoming addition that is actually in the package now that we've updated it about a week or two ago. It now includes a more complex routing logic. So we have an enhanced database writing logic that when you perform the production export from your original system, you have better matching between your existing and upgraded system. So this allows a better recognition and comparison of the complex message routes and avoids any missing messages for your target system comparison view. So this is all made possible, all these enhancements, from customers and users that are actually using this tool. So we are open to your feedback on how to make the UI more easy to understand, so you can kind of sift through all the changes that are being surfaced here. So we do want to come up with a dashboard of sorts that is currently in design, which I'm going to briefly mention. So it sounds like you may have already been using this tool or thinking about using it. We have a session tomorrow with with one of the SEs or the sales engineers who started, the proof of concept for this, and one of our customers that help us build this. So you might be interested to attend that session. I'll talk about it in a second. So that's kind of the first half of this talk. We just I wanted to talk about how you might implement data quality activities directly in your interface and confirm interface behavior during a migration upgrade so that you can have a sense of trust in your data. And now we're going to talk about a new validation tooling for your CDA documents, which is coming up as an EAP very soon. That will help you identify structural and content errors prior to setting up your CDA interfaces, which is really getting to the root of your quality issues. Coming up as an alert is always better as a best practice, before you actually implement the interface and start receiving, phone calls from your sender or receiver and saying, hey, what's going on? This document has no data. So this is a tool to kind of help you kickstart better practices. So I'm not actually going to talk about this in detail in this session. I have a session tomorrow, the data quality onboarding tools. So I would urge you, if you're interested in this kind of tooling, to go to that session. I have more time to talk about it. But the service itself is going to be released as a cloud-first add-on to your Health Connect Cloud offering after it's gone through the EAP stage or the early access program, which will be available to all of our users at that point. The tool offers batch reporting dashboard, which is a screenshot shown here, to help you identify either document-specific and organizational document creation errors that stack against the CDA 2.1 implementation guide conformance. This tool also has the option to apply the CDA schematron rules for additional clinical business logic, as well as US realm-based checks to ensure your documents are not just structurally sound, but whether the information in the documents is relevant. So it opens the door to better understand population-level data gaps. So this is just an example report. There is, I think, in every slide that you'll see today or at the end of the session, an EAP QR code. So I'll show that at the end if you're interested to sign up for this EAP. Just to kind of get to why we are so interested in providing data quality tools, specifically for CDA, we've heard of a lot of challenges from the field where large healthcare providers are reporting up to 80% of CDA documents that they receive don't include any clinical sections. So that's leading us to believe that there's a lot of unstructured data that can't be consumed. It's lost in translation. So there's this widespread of inconsistent use of coded libraries as well, such as how diagnosis codes are being translated. They're intertangled with other library codes, which makes data usability difficult. And there's really no set context for the document to be used. If you know CDA documents, they're notorious for having unstructured data, which requires a lot of provider sites to double down on data usability and really try to build a document structure that can be consumed by any variable number of receivers, which is not very it's not very efficient to do. So among other challenges, CDA is also now being overshadowed with the FHIR data model. There is a new CDA version that has come up, 3.0, which should allow a more seamless transformation of FHIR, but as you know, the healthcare industry is pretty slow to innovation, so we're still struggling and lagging behind with data consistency issues, completeness, formatting errors, and data that is just really unusable. So we are prepared for that near future where CDA documents will be used to create FHIR clinical documents, but we're not there today. So we really have to double down on the data quality in the documents that we have today within the CDA architecture. So going back to the actual service, so in the future state, this is sort of what we are building upon for our development roadmap. We want to be able to stack the CDA document against the HL7 CDA specification and offer the option to use the industry-provided schematron rule set. On top of that, we want to enable a more custom logic user-built rules, so you can check for the common quality gaps that your provider site might be interested. We're also looking to specifically have templates for use cases like HEDIS measures that are looking at that population level data across a number of batch CDA documents from like one given clinical site, for example. Because this is going to be an embedded cloud service, you would be able to utilize this as a pay-as-you-go model, especially when it's built into your interface, which is in its future state going to be available. So you can spin it up whenever you need it or whenever that interface is active and receiving data, so more cost-efficient type of data quality tooling. I think in every session you're going to hear the word AI, so I'm going to talk about that as well. So in the future state of this tool, we would like to plug in an AI model that would generate the necessary transformations, the XSLTs, to help you get your CDA data into FHIR and translate any code libraries that are needed through a terminology server, for example, when there are inconsistent data elements. So a lot of exciting stuff to come up. Again, this is going to be an EAP for this MVP version of the CDA validation service, so we'd love your feedback, love to understand your use cases, and help shape the product that can be beneficial for you. So now we're kind of at the end of the session, and I do want to get you excited about the upcoming initiatives and strategies we want to provide you to improve your data quality practices. I mentioned a lot of these things already, so for the purposes of time, some of the things that I didn't mention are the X12 version, the later versions that we want to continue to support, having validation embedded directly within your pipeline, such as CDA, offering the production validation UI, some other things like more configurable X12 validation. So if you wanted to do some variation of SNP and validation flags or any other custom validation, you may be able to do so more easily within the Iris platform. We're also looking into adding more easily plug-in services for terminology servers. So you can plug in something like a clinical architecture server and validate your data that way. And more down the line, something that we call a data profiler that would look at all of your data coming across through any of the data protocols such as HL7, FHIR, X12, and get a sense of what's coming in, what's coming out, what are you missing. So this is going to be a built-in product experience that we're trying to enhance for all of the data quality users. So that's kind of the end of the presentation portion. I want to come back to hearing from the audience. So I do have one more question. If you could please scan the QR code. If you scanned the one earlier, you might not need to rescan. It might send you to this next question. If not, if you could please scan the QR code, and the same roadmap items that I had listed there come up in this list. And you are asked to rank these based on what is of interest to you, what would be more relevant in the near future versus long term. They might all be relevant for you, so this might be a hard question to answer, but would love to kind of better understand where we are at with our data quality practices, what's more useful. So here is where we're at right now. Sounds like CDA validation rule authoring is taking the lead. That is something that is higher priority in our roadmap right now, so that's a good validation step for us. I'll leave it up for a few more seconds, but is there anything in this list that's missing or something that I did not talk about? I know we're tired from the day, but bear with me. Yes?
After it was released, during our major release upgrade, one thing we noted is that it runs a lot of problem because of the run date.
Sorry, problem with what?
Problem with the run date. So we're using data that we went through within production, say 3 months ago, and we want to validate it. It's 3 months later. Oftentimes there's a lot of details that look for the today's date, right? Mm-hmm. And it puts the today's date in there, and of course that screws everything because today's date is 3 months later. There's a detail fails, or there are things that just doesn't run well. So it would be nice to have a feature that says this is the run date, and just make a prompt and say this is the run date, and you will want to run against that data. That's just one comment that I had.
Okay, thank you. And that was the production validator, did I hear correctly? Okay. All right, well, thank you. I've noted your, we have another question?
Just a comment that, I think, do you have any plans to support, USAI validation as well? I know that's not on the list, but.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because as a platform, that is something that you would implement as a customer or a health share application. So depending on, like if you're interested in the health share implementation, they would be supporting that for you. It is not innately at the data platform layer. But the CDA validation tooling does currently check against US CDI version 3 required data elements. So you can expect that in at least that tooling. So great question. All right, I know I'm keeping you from our main event tonight, so I'll skip this next question that I have. I just wanted to know if this was a relevant session for you. Did you learn anything? Is this content that you want to see next year? I do really want to know the answer to this, to be honest, but I will move on. So these are the two sessions that I briefly mentioned earlier in the presentation. The first is, well, they're both tomorrow. The first, you will see an actual demo of the CDA validation service. So take a picture or add this to your schedule in the app. The second is a panel of some of our customers that have done really interesting custom code projects, which will include the production validator, since one of our customers that helped build this tool will be talking about their recent use of production validator in their upgrade this year. So I wouldn't miss that if you're interested in learning about production validator. And the EAP slide that I promised, so if you're interested in getting your hands on the CDA validation tool or any of the EAP programs that we have, I think we have a list of like 8 of them. The only one I'll market today is CDA validation, so if you're interested, here is the website to submit that. And of course, we are asking everyone to rate all the sessions that you attend today so we can provide better content for you next year. So thank you all for coming. And I'll see you around. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.